Poisonrana.
Hello.
Hello.
Braden Herrington here with Davie Portman for Poisonrana, the Patreon, and this isn't up yours.
Oh, yes, it is. This is where we go over to you, our world champions, our family members, to see what you want us to talk about.
That's right. You can pick wrestling. You could pick movies. You could pick movies about wrestling. You can pick whatever it is you want. And today we're going to talk about the wrestling documentary Beyond the Mat.
Yeah.
We finally made it here. I feel like a bit of something that maybe has been talked about in the world of wrestling and especially in documentaries, but we've never watched it and talked about it. So it's a good time to talk about it because our family member, world champ patron, Jake from the Windy City has selected this documentary. Unfortunately, Jake won't be able to join us later today, but we're sending love to the Windy City family. Jake, appreciate you a day one for real. All the love. We'll read his thoughts and reasoning behind this pick towards the end of the show. But Jake, I think just picked. I'm going to assume I didn't read ahead, so I didn't want to read his thing until we get to it. But I'm going to just assume he picked it because it's a big thing that came out in the world of wrestling, and we haven't talked about it. So, and you haven't watched it.
It's funny. Like I've never seen this film beginning to end, yet I've seen the whole of this film before. Like I've seen so much of this, the Droz stuff, the Terry Funk stuff, the Jake Roberts stuff, the Mick Foley stuff. I feel I've seen this whole film in clips in other things, or just like there was nothing new really for me watching this film. But yeah, I think I think there's a few things that when we started this podcast are like obvious things to go to. And, we listen to other podcasts as well, wrestling podcasts and YouTube reviews and that kind of thing. And I feel this one has been talked about quite a lot. I put it in the same bracket as like Montreal Screwjob or something like that, where we've maybe put it off just because it has been talked about quite a bit. But I think now we're 7-8 years into doing this. I'm not aware of other podcasts covering this recently. And I think with the, recent set of documentaries, whether it be Dark Side of the Ring or Unreal, which WWE's just put out, I think it's a really interesting time to go back and watch this. And having not properly seen this before, I'm really glad Jake's picked this. I think this is the right time to look back at Beyond the Mat.
I know what you mean. Yeah, like it's been beaten to death. If you search this, it seems like every podcast out there, even non-wrestling, movie documentaries, people have just reviewed this or talked about this in one way, shape, or form. I remember as soon as I got into wrestling, I guess I'll just throw out 2005 is probably but is when I finally watched this. I would always see it at shout out Rogers Video or a Blockbuster. And I'd be like, what the hell is this documentary on wrestling? But then when I was became into the fandom of wrestling, I would see this at a Cash Converters or the Bargain Bin or whatever. And then the world of the internet by a few more years later, it would be it was on YouTube in full. It's on YouTube in parts. I watched it on Daily Motion today. I know it was on Tubi for the longest time.
It's been on Prime before as well.
It's been all over the place. So it shows that it still kind of has its reach. And I would say it, in a way here, without giving away too much of our review, I'd say a must watch for wrestling fans.
Yeah.
I think it's really good. And I haven't watched this in a long, long, long time, and maybe clips here and there, but as much. You brought up Dark Side. Like, I love that movie, that show so much. And maybe this movie inspired that show to kind of show you. I mean, easily this movie inspired The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke. So
absolutely, yeah.
So like definitely a must watch among wrestling fans. Like if you're listening to this and you haven't watched it, maybe pause, go watch this movie. I'm assuming you have, and maybe you're like, oh, it's been a while. It's a really cool and easy watch and a nice inside of a bit years before the Unreal and people being nervous about cameras and stuff. It's a different time, you know, but it's refreshing.
It's funny you mentioning, like, you know, so what did you say? What video store did you say you'd see this in?
Rogers Video, Block,
Okay.
Cash Converters, or
I feel there's a. I miss those days because we had a shop called Woolworths in the UK.
okay,
and it lasted 99 years before it had to like go into liquidation and all that. Which come on, make it to 100, just push it over that finish line. But yeah, and Woolworths would sell like clothes, sweets, like it did the big like pick and mix, kind of like you get a bulk barn, that kind of thing. Like toiletries, toys, so you get your wrestling figures there, VHSs, DVDs, the lot. So for me, I always just loved going to Woolworths and walking around, not necessarily buying anything. I mean, that's maybe why it went out of business, but I remember like at Woolworths and at like HMV, the wrestling like collection. And as a child, you know, you've got a little bit of pocket money maybe to spend. You're not necessarily buying these videos, but I go to the store and like look at the cover and turn it round and read what the matches are and looking at the pictures and trying to work out like what it was and what it was about. And I always remember seeing this one next to Ready to Rumble, the WCW David Arquette movie with the
very similar
cage and all that, which completely different movies. But I always remember seeing them next to each other, and you're just trying to interpret almost the story or what it is just from these pictures. I think there's something missed about that. Like I do miss everything is so accessible nowadays, so easy. As you said, it's like, oh, it's not on Tubi anymore. I'll just find it on Dailymotion. But yeah, there was something cool as a kid of going and, you know, reading wrestling magazines to find out what happened because you wouldn't necessarily be able to watch it or things like that. And I do just remember this VHS cover, like seeing it so often when I'd be going around and my wrestling fandom had started.
I always remember seeing it. And I think even to this day, you know, I go to, there's a big store, BMV in Toronto. There's multiple locations. And I noticed they still have wrestling sections. And now they even have it separated. Like someone clued them into, and this isn't the one our friend Mike Murray and WH and Jack work at. This is a different one. They had like ones that I would be like, oh, maybe I should buy that in glass case.
Right.
I was like, oh, interesting. They kind of know. They know that Judgment Day 04 can be left out next to Beyond the Mat, next to some like 2010s Best of Raw and SmackDown. But the WWF King of the Ring 98, which is kind of funny what we're talking about today, that one was behind the glass and it was a bit more money. I was like, oh, even the physical media is still kind of thing. But I always remember seeing Beyond the Mat in whatever HMV store looking at wrestling back in the day. But this movie is really interesting. Like I said, this is a precursor to what we're so used to now. Okay, the cat's out the bag. Sorry, wrestling's fake. And this is definitely before a lot of that. And this is 1999. So like internet, okay, exists, but not everyone necessarily was online or so online as they are maybe glued in today. So it is in this weird like period and looking things up. I mean, you watch this and you go, hey, wouldn't maybe certain people in this like the way they were portrayed or like these things? And you kind of learn that like, no, Vince McMahon hated this movie and didn't like this, didn't want to promote it and this and that. And I just think this was a real like pulling the curtain back and maybe one of the first real times. I know, shout out to another Up Yours we've done where we've looked at that. Was it Lash LaRue? Right?
No, Louis Theroux.
Louis Theroux. Lash LaRue is the WCW, and WCW is on my mind because that's where they go in that documentary. And I think it's kind of similar to this, like same time frame where you can tell certain people aren't too happy about it.
Yeah. Now I find it interesting. Like I'm sure you could write an essay on when did kayfabe properly die. I was watching wrestling in 1999, and one of the first things I see is The Undertaker sacrificing Stephanie McMahon. So even at a young age, I was like, wait, this seems a little different from the tennis and the football that my parents
Mhm.
watch. Maybe there's something a little theatrical about it. So for me, I've never been in the illusion that all of this stuff was real, you
Mhm.
know? And I think people maybe exaggerate when kayfabe truly died. I think the differences between like then and now is I think as much as kayfabe might be dead to the wide audience, and I'd say your wrestling fans, I think even today there's confusion with non-wrestling fans with what wrestling actually is. But I would say in 1999, your people who are tuning into your product every week know what the jig is, right? They know about it. But I think there's still that protection from the actual wrestlers and promoters and that kind of thing of we're still protecting it like it is the Carney days. And I'd have said that's probably been the case for maybe a decade by this point.
I mean, I think back to you bring up a good point there because okay, I may have loved wrestling in the year 2005 because that's when I definitely like started going to shows, like started like really getting into it. But I was well aware of what it was at a
Yeah.
very young age, but there I can't ever, I don't have early memories of when I was a very young child, but at no point do I ever remember being like, "Oh, this is real." Because
Mm.
one of my early things of what the fuck is wrestling is again kind of funny. Seeing one of my uncles who had a Jake the Snake cup, and I was like, "What's that?" And then he explained to me what wrestling was. They showed me something, and then my mom right away is like, "Hey, this is not real." So never in my brain was like, "Oh, what? Whoa, these guys are. This is real." Like, so I get that you have people in this documentary, like your Cornettes or your Vinces or whoever, who maybe are weary of like just basically blatantly saying in front of a camera, like, "Hey, this is all a thing," because it's how they make money, right? It's like that's kind of what it is. But I think now, all these years later in 2026, we're recording this, is like, yeah, the cat's been out the bag, but we're in on it. That's
Yeah,
what makes it so like
exactly.
good, right? That's part of the fun, right?
And I
So,
I think that's the what's his name? Barry Blaustein, the
mhm,
director and narrator of this. I think that's his MO. He's trying to get this isn't necessarily a documentary for wrestling fans. This is a documentary, and I'd say the same with Dark Side of the Ring, and to an extent, Unreal being on
yeah,
Netflix and trying to
yeah,
grab that wider audience. This is trying to get people to go like right away. He's saying wrestling is theater, right? And he says like he's known, and we're all in on it. We're all in on the joke ourselves as wrestling fans, and I think it's trying to get that respect from people outside the wrestling world. And I would say, okay, so you had what before this? You had Wrestling with Shadows was around 97, wasn't it? Because that was the screw job and all
right,
that. So you've
yes,
had that, but apart from that, I'm not sure of many other wrestling documentaries. And then you have the Louis Theroux one in 1999. Now, I'd say the Louis Theroux one, you have a lot more like I think of Sarge, I think of Roddy Piper in that. It's they're looking at this journalist as someone who's trying to expose it, who's trying
fair,
to,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I think there's that element to it, and I think Theroux kind of treads the line. I think he has a element of respect, but I think he's trying to produce something funny and entertaining. So it is a little like poking at these dumb meatheads in Atlanta. I find with that one. Whereas this, I think he starts the narration right at the beginning with I'm a massive wrestling fan. I've always been a wrestling fan. It's sport, it's theater, it's this, it's that, it's its own unique thing. And us as wrestling fans all know what the deal is. But now let me tell you about the real people behind it. And I always think, and I think that's probably how he got this access to do a lot of this because they understand he probably knows some of the wrestling terms or whatever, and he's coming into it with this level of respect where they go, okay, we'll let you shoot. And I think there is that protection there. I think stuff like Unreal, it's really trying to get your non-wrestling fans to respect the business. And because how many times people, oh, it's too fake for me. And you go, yeah, well, it's scripted, but man, like this guy's landing on his neck. Like, how can you fake that? And this guy's doing this, you know, there was a time like 6-7 times a week, they'd get like 5 days off a year or crazy shit like that. And you go, okay, it might be scripted, it might not be your cup of tea, but you've got to respect what they do. And I think that's like, I compare to going to a magic show. You know, if I'm going to see a big magic show, I'm going to see David Copperfield in Vegas or whatever, I'm not going with the belief that David Copperfield is a supernatural
wizard
being with magical wizardry powers, this sorcerer, this warlock who's on the stage making doves appear from thin air. No, I'm going because I know he's going to do stuff that I don't understand how he did it, but it's impressive none the same. And I'm not coming out of it going, that guy's not a wizard. And I think that with wrestling is sometimes now, if they want to get more mainstream, they need people to understand who these people are. And I think some people come across great in this documentary, and it really humanizes them. And I think that achieved it with Unreal. I think the people that stand out with that series for me are people like Lyra Valkyria and Chelsea Green and Becky Lynch, where you're seeing them, like seeing Lyra struggle over, you know, having a shitty match. And someone watching that might be like, sorry, like, so why, how do you have shit matches and how do you have good matches? And her explaining like, oh, this went wrong. And I was thinking maybe the camera didn't see it, and it did. And it exposes what we're doing a little bit. And man, I'm beating myself a bit about that. I think it makes it, you go like, wow, actually, this is a business where these people are going out in front of thousands of people, millions of people on the TV, and they've got one take at it. And they're trying their best to do the magic trick and not show you that the dove has actually been in their sleeve the whole time.
Absolutely. This argument goes on currently, like literally just listening to an interview with MJF, where I believe it was Chris Van Vliet actually. And he's saying like, there's still people out there who are like, oh, you know, wrestling fake this and that. And he's like, when you watch a movie with a fight scene, you think that's just in one take? Like, yeah. No, I go out there and I do it every week live in front of people. Like, that means it is real. That's not camera tricks and this and that. Like, okay, no. Maybe there is, but like that argument is still going on. I'd say this movie is a good, you show this to someone who maybe doesn't have too much respect for it. It might be a lot for them to watch, but you'd come out of this being like, all right, there is definitely some stuff. I mean, same with Dark Side. You watch that, people be like, oh shit, I didn't realize there's so much like lore and stuff to this. But it's the same in 2026. We're having the argument with Tom Brady being like, oh, Logan Paul said wrestling's really hard. Well, like, I'm a fucking football player and like da-da-da-da. It's like, okay, well, like to me, a footy player, a soccer player, you got to be pretty athletic. Those half hours, right? That's long. Like you're out there running constantly. Football, when I watch the game, I feel like me getting up to the pisser sometimes is more athletic than watching some of these American football games. I'm sorry, I'm just upset people, but like to say, hey, what I do is far more athletic than like what some of these other guys are doing. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, okay, I've watched a lacrosse game where they fucking going mental to the wall, and then I watch an American football game. I'm like, okay, there's
11 minutes of action over like 3 hours. You know,
some athleticism, but I like I wouldn't say there's a whole lot, to be completely honest. Comparing to other real sports, I wouldn't put it up there. So like that argument still goes on today, and I feel like there's people out there. We will get every day for the rest of our lives being wrestling fans. Someone out there every day will be like, oh, well, it's, you know, it's fake, right? It's fake. It's
I mean, I had something on the other day, and there were, you know,
at the bar.
There was a chop exchange, and this guy was like, just like, it all looks too fake for me, like that, just slapping the chest. I'm like, you can see the welts on their body. Like,
he's not really hitting them.
This is live. Sorry, explain it. Like, it's easier to hit the guy's chest than to not hit the guy's chest, make a noise, and somehow have a makeup artist out there that we don't see paint these handprints on them. Like, you're the one that sounds stupid here. I'm not the one that sounds stupid for liking this stuff. Yeah. Like, you sound like, kind of dumb. Like,
I also love my shitty action films, martial arts films and stuff. Like, I appreciate, all the stuff that goes into that, but that's not just a real fight. That's just fake. This is a whole movie. Like, I definitely don't understand that whole thing of like, oh, you don't, this shit's fake, right? I'm like, yeah, well, so is every other like movie and TV show I watch. Even the reality shows these days are not reality. Like, it's just this always ongoing uphill battle that we'll always have and face. But I'd say, like, WWE being as popular it is right now, there's a lot less of that. There's a lot less of like, oh, that's that. Oh, that you like that shit. It's like, it's just because it kind of shows the popularity speaks for itself of like, well, no, like, people like that stuff.
I would say like the McMahon documentary as well, to an extent, did it. And of course, you still have those people saying, oh, it's fake and blah, blah, blah. But I'd say over the last couple of years, we've had more people who have gone like, no, we're the wrestling people. And like, oh, I threw on that Dark Side of the Ring and I didn't realize X, Y, and Z. And man, like, I didn't realize they wrestled as much as they did, or it was actually as physical as it was, or I didn't know these people actually got hurt. And you start hearing more of these things from your people who, not necessarily to a level where they're going to start watching, although I do know a lot of lapsed fans who, because of the ease of Raw, SmackDown, etc., being on Netflix, are watching it regularly. And like, they kind of always talk to me about it because, like, oh, you're the wrestling guy. I actually watch WrestleMania, or I threw on the Royal Rumble. And I think these documentaries are like very helpful too. And I would say WWE is starting to realize that. And I'd say they should push it further with Unreal, because I feel my issue with it is the temptation to kayfabe it, to try and be like, no, you don't need to. This business is fascinating as it is. Like, really show me what's going on.
Yeah, the thing with Unreal, okay, like Dark Side, it has so many people watching it. At least here, I just remember when it was like a few years ago in the summer, I went to a music festival and I'm camping. And these big group of girls are camping next to me. And I wake up one morning and I get out of my tent and I'm starting a little fire. I think I'm rolling a joint, having some coffee on a fire thing. And this giant group of girls are talking about Dark Side of the Ring. And I was like, I'm sorry, I got to interject this conversation. And then I realized that not any of them watch wrestling, but they have watched every single episode of that thing, because it's kind of, some of it's true crime mixed in with like, pop culture stuff. So I just find that interesting, that like that rocked my world of like, what, you're watching this show? And then since then I've talked to so many other people, and it's this movie too. Like, I like documentaries when done well. Like, if the subject matter is good, anything. I've watched documentaries about crime and Craigslist and fucking whatever, religion, ghosts, aliens, whatever, right? But I'd say this one is definitely like I said, a must watch, because it peels back the curtain and then it shows you like these people. You don't just wake up one day and you're The Rock, right? Like, you gotta come from a Nepo family, I guess, in that case. But like, I feel like this shows you that there's all these different layers to this. And you said like Unreal is getting so kayfabe, when all I need to know is everyone's got a story. Everyone's got a way they got here. And it would be way more fascinating to hear all those instead of fake stories.
You saying about the layers to it, that I think of, the NXT Chronicle on this week's episode, where Joe Hendry's going like, decided I wanted to be a wrestler. I tried, I didn't make the cut. So then I was like, how about I'm a wrestler who makes music and sings about my opponents and writes a theme song? And what if, I look a bit generic if I dye my hair blonde or add muscle, and let's learn another skill. I'll do some amateur wrestling and all this kind of stuff. It's the different layers that that get to it. And I think the other stuff I find interesting with these behind the scenes documentaries is, you know, like from my acting background, a lot of stuff I did would be 2 to 4 weeks rehearsal and then go out and do it every night and whatever. Right. Whereas here, like, you're seeing people just backstage talking to each other, and they're like, what can we do here? All right, well, I could do that, and then I'm going to say this, and then you do that, and then, all right, let's go, let's do it. And that's impressive to me. Just like, you're essentially doing improv in front of a live audience every night.
And remembering things like, you know, promos, even in this one. I mean, I think we'll get into perception of Dwayne Johnson when people watch this movie and Mick Foley's comments that have come around, I think, full circle. But there's a clip of The Rock. Just they go, all right, you got your promo ready? Show it to me. And then he kind of says it to someone, and then they click record, they film it, and he fucking just nails it. And it's like, wow, you got to be on the game to do that kind of stuff. And it shows you that there's people who are maybe not so on it, but it is interesting. Like, we'll always have dark side-esque versions, or like WWE Unreal or other documentaries will be made. I mean, this features Jake the Snake since they've had the resurrection of Jake Roberts, right? The DDP documentary. We've had many and many more as well to come. And then I'm pretty sure, again, we're recording this February of 2026. Paul Walterhausen has kind of been talking about how he's cast to play Mick Foley in some sort of dramatization.
Yeah.
Like, very interesting. So, like, yeah, wrestling is definitely back into like this, let's make content about wrestling. That's how popular it kind of is. But I'd say this movie definitely was, when I watched this, it blew my mind. And all these years later, okay, it doesn't blow my mind, but it's such an interesting watch. And I don't know what else Barry Blaustein. Blaustein has done since. I've seen he's actually done lots of interviews on some wrestling podcasts talking about this documentary and everything. And as I watched it, the first few minutes, I'm like, man, I'm pretty sure Vince McMahon would probably pretty mad this came out, considering, even though he's like in it. But then I looked, produced by Barry Bloom and Ron Howard. What? So
I mean, looking at Barry Blaustein, he wrote Police Academy 2, 3, 4, and 5, Coming to America, The Nutty Professor 1 and 2, a bunch of stuff at Saturday Night Live. Like, he's more known as a writer than a director.
And then we got Brian Grazer, who also like produced like movies and all these, like, his crew here who backed him is definitely why people gave him the access, right? Like, that if some random dude was like, yeah, I'm a filmmaker and I did this, it's like, oh, I don't know. But he's got like some credentials and backing here to be able to do this. And doing some digging, Vince McMahon didn't like this movie. He tried to make, Mick Foley has said in many interviews since, and to this day, saying that they caused him a bit of grief with wanting to help promote this movie. I think he went on CNN to even help promote this with Barry, and Vince was pretty against it because it kind of puts wrestling in a negative light, and I guess WWF in a little bit. But like, the story goes is hearing all these clips of Mick being like, this guy was nice. This guy's become my friend. Like,
yeah,
when he said in one, I think it was, I don't know if this is What Culture now, but I've heard him say it twice in two different versions, where he said him and Vince got in an argument, and Vince was like, this guy's not your friend. He's just trying to use you. And he goes, yeah, well, Vince, how many times have you invited me to your house? And then Vince was like, oh shit. Okay. Maybe he is your friend. So Mick Foley definitely like one of the bigger you watch this and be like, fuck yeah, Mick Foley. So
I wonder what the opinion would be of this today, because I don't find it like disrespectful to wrestling at all. Or I don't, I mean, for us, it's not even pulling the curtain back, because we've seen that all the time now. WWE do it themselves. I wonder what it was specifically that Vince didn't like about this.
So think, this is still, if they're filming this in 98, this is still like kayfabe. They're still holding on. And there's so many interviews over the years of wrestlers being like talking about this, being upset, being not wanting to do it. I know Rob Van Dam has said, like, certain people tried to like fuck with this crew, like throw tapes away and ruin equipment and stuff like that, apparently. So like certain wrestlers didn't want to be interviewed. Looking on IMDb, Barry in some interview mentioned that originally Adam Copeland as an upcoming wrestler was supposed to be a heavily featured, but he kept turning it down. He didn't want to break the kayfabe, so eventually Draws was kind of the one that they more so focused with Vince at that one point. That's allegedly, and again, certain things I was reading about it, but you could see certain wrestlers were like, "Oh, I don't know about this," but Mick Foley was like, "Fuck yeah, I'll do it." ECW, like, why not? You're getting some press from it, right? So I don't know. It doesn't necessarily show me that WWF is awful, right? Like, so I don't know. Vince, there's worse. You watch Dark Side, and I can understand that they don't want to be. Vince is like the evil hand in some of those episodes. Whereas this, I can't say there's like necessarily anything that
I'd
bad.
say maybe it was the maybe like just the violence with Foley.
Yeah,
perhaps.
that rubbed people the wrong way, but
That he didn't like. But it doesn't. There's nothing that really. I'd understand more so why people would be upset with that Louis Theroux documentary over this one.
100%. Oh yeah, absolutely. If anything, this guy, you said it, like this guy is doing it because he respects wrestling and he likes wrestling. And I'm the same way when recently with this whole thing with WWE being so popular, you're seeing a lot more celebrities in the crowd and everything. Like you can tell when someone is an actual fan and when someone isn't. And like Bad Bunny, even before being on WWE TV, would always reference WWE and some real deep cut stuff. And you could tell when people are like fake fans and everything.
Sure.
But I feel like this guy is a real one and just wanted to like be like, hey, why do I like wrestling so much? Let's look into this. And that's why we're going beyond the mat. So let's go through this. I mean, this is a documentary. I don't think we've actually reviewed a documentary like this. What other documentary could we have reviewed?
Well, we've mentioned the Louis Theroux one.
Like other than wrestling, have we reviewed other documentaries? I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I can't think off the top of my head.
Interesting. Yeah. All right. Well, interesting. Well, beyond the mat, we mentioned Barry Blaustein, who is the narrator, like director, producer, writer, and all that kind of stuff. We don't necessarily see him a whole lot on camera, but we hear his voice throughout. And as you mentioned, it starts, I don't know why I liked it, but I always have. Pro wrestling, the passion, athleticism, theater, the sports, and the entertainment. I like that. And they kind of go through different chunks in this movie. And then at the end, it kind of ties it all around with where we kind of go with some of the people that we encounter through this. But he says that in the world of professional wrestling, the WWF is obviously the head honcho in the terms of pop culture. We have Vince McMahon in the WWF headquarters. Vince drinks water really weird. I remember that from watching this documentary. he chews his water. He chews his water. He's a water chewer.
Is it the ice he's chewing?
He's literally drinking out of a bottle of water that looks room temperature at best, and he chews it. Now, I'm not knocking anyone who does it. Maybe it's because he knows there's a camera right on him and he was like feeling whatever, but he was chewing water. Therefore, I don't trust him. All right. Vince McMahon is asked about what he does here. And he says, we create stories and we make movies. Similar to what does Triple H keep saying these days?
Yeah, we've heard this a lot, right? We make movies, we make
moments.
I sometimes question what movies these people have seen, but yes, they make movies.
Yeah, what movies has Vince McMahon actually watched? Air Bud? Did that come out yet already in 98? Vince is with so this is like a quick brief rundown here, and I always remember loving this part of Beyond the Mat because it's like, hey, if you're wondering about like how big wrestling is, like take a look at this guy's got a headquarters, this guy's got traveling shows every week, this guy's got not one writer but like a staff of writers, and oh look, Vince Russo right here making a cameo. We got like people making the merchandise. We have people making the music. My all-time favorite clip. I've watched this a bunch. Our boy Jim Johnston telling you how he makes music. This is my favorite fucking thing ever. And I gotta say it because we gotta say it. Shout out original All In Weekend Chicago when we just happened to stumble in to Jim Johnston's live performance and watched him basically do what he's doing here and break down songs.
Yeah, it's, you know, in documentaries where you see like tiny clips of what you're going to get fully expanded later on. I was hoping we were going to go back to this because it was just like a 20 seconds, if that, where he's talking about, I think it was Vader's theme. And it's like, well, I watched the way he walks and I had to like make sure the beat of the music matches his walk, and then it's playing it along and you go, oh yeah. I find it really interesting. Yeah,
there's a longer clip. I think because I'm pretty sure, unless it's just in my brain, because when we saw him at that, what was that not WrestleCade? What was it called when it was Starcast? Yeah, Starcast. He basically had this whole like all these instruments set up, and then he was doing what he did here, and he explains how he comes up. Like, it's not just, hey, does this theme fit you? It's like he made these themes like for these people specifically. Yeah. So just another reason why he's the GOAT of wrestling themes, and he should be in the Hall of Fame, in my opinion. Why is he not in the fucking Hall of Fame? But even them explaining, I watched how Vader walked. I'm like, dude, say no more. You're a fucking legend. You're a fucking beast. We see Jim Ross, he's head of talent relations. He does a lot, right? Many hats.
Yeah, he'd have been talent relations at this point.
He says, I don't really care who wins or loses. All I care about is asses in those seats every week, and that we make money. And we see this meeting. I thought this was interesting. Did you catch this part when they're having a sales meeting about the weekly or the monthly, I'm assuming VHS sales at this point in 1998, where they said they're week by week, they keep going neck and neck. Did you hear what show? What movie? VHS they're head to head with for being number one in rentals and sales
in
1998 here, something you love. What else were delinquent teenagers or young kids watching?
Oh, South Park the movie?
Absolutely.
Right, yeah.
Or just South Park, I think is what they said. So VHS DVD sales are like kids are buying WWF and kids are buying South Park. So I thought that was kind of funny. We see draws here. I did have a few of the WWF VHSs, which I think they did change over to DVD, but wrestling and South Park are two things also moms and dads across the world didn't want their kids to watch at one point. They kind of fit in the same demographic. We see draws. Remember draws?
I do.
We have draws here, a former Denver Bronco and a D1 athlete, right? Even back then. And
whatever that means, but yes.
Yeah. They're trying to get this guy on television. So here we have kind of Barry, showing his story of like, this is a character that's in the works. Like they're trying to figure out what to do with him for television. And we see they film the meeting with Vince McMahon and they tell him that, he's not necessarily like trained that well in ring, but he does have a specific certain ability that he can do, and that is regurgitate on demand. And of course, Vince McMahon just sees dollar signs with this one and says, could you imagine like animal, hawk, puke? Yeah, we'll get you in the ring. I mean, this is the famous clip from this movie. You're going to be in the ring and you're going to, oh man, could you imagine this didn't make it to TV, right? Because he says he wants his gimmick to be, he wants him to puke on the wrestlers and then puke on the ref as well here.
And the way Vince is saying it, he's like,
he's gonna puke.
But it's when he's saying about, your name's going to be puke. He's almost saying it'll be endearing. He's like, it's puke, but then, it's puke. It's puke here. It's like animal, hawk, and puke. Just like weird considering how much this guy played in the NFL, but we'll highlight the fact that he can vomit on cue. Like it's just even then, I'm questioning the creativity of these people.
It's like, fuck. Yeah, anyone can learn to do suplexes, headlocks, moonsaults, but can you puke on demand? Because then you'll be a fucking star. So the best is this got me. He's explained this to puke, and like this camera, this documentary people are watching this meeting, and you could just imagine what some of these people were thinking. But the whole thing, you see Shane McMahon in the corner watching. Shane McMahon's watching Vince as if he's like explaining physics or like this most amazing, beautiful, poetic character story. Shane's like, oh yeah, Dad. Yeah, puke. Yeah. So Vince says, hey, like in order for this to work, I need you to do it. So he grabs a trash can, grabs a waste bin and says, puke. So tries to puke. Unfortunately, he doesn't really do it. And I guess that's why that never really panned out for him with this gimmick. But he's gonna puke. Definitely a famous line from this movie. And the cherry on top cuts to Draws after being on the phone with his mom, being like, hey mama, you're gonna love this, but yeah, I'm gonna be on the WWF. Yeah, my name is Puke.
And he's like saying it like he's so proud. He's like, you're gonna be real proud of me, mama. I'm gonna be Puke.
Yeah. Maybe this is what Vince did. Maybe Vince just thought he looked dumb, but like, dude, you're the one who said all this stupid shit in the first place. They just filmed you. So ridiculous. Why are you upset at this? Yeah. This just shows like this guy literally will do anything if it made him money, but I guess Puke wasn't necessarily marketable. Like I remember I've seen Draws on TV. Yeah, obviously at the end of this movie, they'll explain his injury and everything, but
I remember when I was watching it was him and Albert were together.
Right. Okay. Because the stuff we see him later on, like the clips of like his gear and everything, he wore like what, like the skirt or like the shirt thing tied around his pants. Because I remember my next door neighbor as a young kid, he had a Draws figure in this gear, and we were always
I had it
with the pierced tongue and everything. We were like, who the fuck is this guy? And then later I would realize it's Puke, obviously. But yeah, this is a great snapshot of just okay. It doesn't show how insane Vince McMahon is, but he would literally put the quality of what wrestling is supposed to be. This guy wants someone to puke on television. Just shows you.
Yeah, and I think it gives you've heard these stories of people going into, the office with Vince and going through their character. Like I've seen, pictures of the different concepts of Gold Dust and when they were pitching that and
Undertaker. Yeah,
exactly. Chili McFreeze for Austin. And I think from hearing those stories and then just seeing this clip, you can picture every single conversation people have had, down to like people saying, oh, I like to sing in the shower or stuff like that. And suddenly they've got a singing gimmick and all those things where wrestlers have said, be careful what you say you do, because suddenly that is your entire identity in this company.
Yeah. Like Ryback. What do you do? Well, I eat a lot. Say no more.
How about we feed you more?
Great part of like just already throwing you in. You got to see snapshots of like some behind the scenes stuff of Jim Johnson there, the writer's room, Vince fucking Russo, Vince fucking McMahon. And then I love this. Barry goes, hey, maybe you're asking yourself, how does one become a professional wrestler? Well, the same way you become a doctor, you go to school. Thought that was fantastic. So we go to it. I don't even know where this is. Indies Hayward. My spell check completely fucked me on this one, but somewhere in the boonies of California state, I think they said here. And we go to this Independence and we're seeing the other side of wrestling, like smaller crowds, dingy kind
shitty
of
ring.
Yeah. Not necessarily like high class, like we just saw snaps of WWF. So we see all these wrestlers who are trying to be wrestlers, like indie wannabe guys working on the weekends. We hear a lot of clips about them saying like they don't get paid a lot or sometimes get paid at all.
Well, they're having to pay to go there. as well, right?
Sometimes.
Don't pay, you can't play.
We see this one guy who gets, oh my god, this fucking killed me. Like the tone of this is hilarious too. Like we said off the top, he's not taking the piss out of wrestling, but there's still some moments that he's having fun with it. Because shout out Barry here when he goes, take a look at this, where like a fan spits on this wrestler. So wrestler, this huge meathead, gets so upset, so tries to just kill this guy, and they had like 10 people pulling him apart, and the guy who spit was like, I didn't even realize what I just did. And the guy is like, $1,000, meet me outside, I'm gonna fucking kill you. And then the screen pauses on this guy's face, like yelling, and Barry's narration here says, yeah, this guy wrestles on the weekends, but Monday to Friday he's a mechanic for the US Air Force or something like that. It's like, Jesus Christ. So good. Love that. We see these guys training, and then there's this like promoter here. Like, think of skeezy, like indie wrestling promoter that's gonna take all your money and not pay you, and I don't know, just treat everybody badly.
Yeah.
And he's like this obese dude, pimples on his face, kind of gross, and says that he, like, these people pay him because he trains them, and then if they're good, sometimes he gives them $25 a match. And then it kind of clips the wrestlers being like, oh, it sucks we don't get paid, and then he cuts to him being like, oh, I pay them. Clearly caught lying here. But it's been arranged that two of the best from this little indie fed here training school are going to have a tryout, a dark match on Monday Night Raw. And so they're going to follow these two guys. It's Tony Modest and
Mike Modest and Tony. Oh, fuck, I had his name here.
Mike Modest and Tony Jones are the guys here. So these two are wrestling. They've wrestled for a while, but they're going to get a tryout, a dark match here. So we see clips of them going to Monday Night Raw, kind of behind the scenes here. And I mean, this was pretty cool. You see these two wrestle, and you have clips.
They were hitting some good moves on each other.
Yeah, like you see Pritchard and Cornette and Vince all watching this, and Jim Ross. Like, that's crazy to have the footage here. I've watched some interviews today of Cornette being like, he tried so hard to avoid being featured on this.
Right.
But the few clips that made it were like the ones that he thought for sure wasn't going to do it. But I thought that was really cool, seeing them be like, okay, that was pretty cool.
How they're scouting.
Yeah, how they're scouting. And then even more so, you see like certain dudes were watching, like other wrestlers, and you could hear. So I think it's Tony hits an air raid crash that looked pretty cool. And you can hear someone like, I'm stealing that. I'm going to do that. I'm using that move. And it was like, oh, cool. I'm pretty sure Christopher Daniels was backstage for some reason. I guess he was the higher power. So he was
98. Yeah, they're thinking about it, aren't they?
Bless him. So they do the match, and then afterwards, like some wrestlers, Mick Foley is on camera here being like, hey, like, you guys did great. Hopefully, you know, things work out. And then JR says that we'll give you a call and see if it works out. But unfortunately, both these guys don't make it to the WWF. But apparently they did get a call back saying like, hey, not this time, but like,
I mean, Mike Modest is someone I've definitely heard about. And I think, don't they say he goes to Japan and does a lot of stuff there?
Right. Okay.
Wasn't their reasoning like they're both too small to be a big guy, and they're both too big to be a little guy, essentially?
Right. Their match looked decent from these clips, but yeah, same thing. Like, you got to know how to puke on demand, dude, to make it to TV. So we go from that. Again, really cool clips of JR kind of talking and all these backstage things. So they're leaving there, and the slimy promoter's only really happy because he wants them to sign, because then he gets like 30% or something like that. So he's just a grimy dude. Of course. We see from wrestlers trying to get into the business to wrestlers soon leaving the business, as Barry talks about one of his favorites, Terry Funk, who now at the young age of 53 is going to, get ready, retire from pro wrestling.
Whatever. Come on, pull the other one, Terry.
So Terry Funk, Amarillo, Texas. We see tons of clips of him, like the history of him wrestling. We see Texas. We see a lot of stuff from Japan. There we see some really weird. What was this car commercial with Terry Funk? Like Terry Funk is for women, and then it shows him like on a car with this like really 90s like sports jacket on a car, being like, "Hey, high country car sales are high." I was like, I need to find the full version of this, because what a stud here. Him on the car trying to be all sexy for the ladies, but damn. And then it cuts to him saying forever, of course. I love this. This is some of my favorite of the movie as well. Like Terry Funk, it's showing clips of him bloody, it's showing clips of him on fire, and then it's mixed in with him getting ready for what his daughter's like wedding or something here. Like,
I thought it could have maybe touched on the fact that, you know, he didn't always do this stuff, that he was more of like a
old school
proper wrestler, if you will.
Yeah.
But then to create the longevity of his career, turn to this more wild, brawling, hardcore style. I thought that was something that was maybe missed, especially seeing that Barry Blaustein was a fan of his work. He must have known about that.
It's crazy seeing like him go to the doctor here. It shows, okay, you're at the age 53. You shouldn't be walking now. The doctor shows the photos of his knees and the missing pieces of his like body, essentially, from all the years of wear and tear. Absolutely crazy. He says he's got arthritis in all of his joints. He says you literally should not be walking. You should never have a day where you're not in pain. You should not do this match. And he's like, no, I got to do this one last match, and that'll be it, right? That'll be it. His sweetheart wife here, who he's definitely talked about in interviews, but you could see like she's a ride or die. Like she's like there for him. And then, hey, did you see this? Hey, baby, you ready to go? And he's getting up. Yep. All right, let's go. Let's leave. And she's like, whoa, wait. I'll get the branding iron. So again, I'm sure we've said this, but quickly, the branding iron that we got from Dickie Bird, who got from what's the podcast that he went to? He went to
The Lapsed Fan.
The Lapsed Fan did a podcast show event in Philly, WrestleMania 40 weekend, and their main prize was Terry Funk's branding iron that they got from his widow, the wife here's estate sale in Texas. And here she is being like, hey, I got that for you. So very funny. That is now in possession at John Pollock's post office, but we had it for a while. I snuck it across the border, so it's come a long way, but fucking got a huge pop out of me hearing that. Like, yeah, even back then, it is her, because they got it from her estate, which is just great. So maybe it was the same one. I'm sure he had a few, but crazy. So Terry is going to ECW, and this is an upstart promotion, as Barry is explaining here, saying like this Philadelphia promotion is more like underground, but a bit more like raunchy, a bit more violent. Obviously, we know all about that. He shows up to the ECW arena. Look familiar there?
Oh yeah.
The line outside. Do you think
that
that bar
is nice as now? But yeah,
still not nice now. Do you think that bar?
The inside of the arena is pretty nice.
The inside, okay. The inside was nice. Yeah. He shows up there, and the fans are like very excited. And Barry explains like this is really violent, and the fans are really into this. And you wouldn't know that it's run by this guy out of the suburbs. And it cuts to Paul Heyman. They say that he runs this company like a commune. And as Paul Heyman is in his house having a board meeting with Tommy Dreamer and all the other ECW people, you just see his mom ironing clothes in the basement.
He lives at his mom's, doesn't he?
Of course he does.
Yeah,
of course he does, because that's, you save money by not actually paying rent, I'm sure, to stay in that house. But I thought this was great. Some real footage here of like Heyman recording like voiceovers for the shows, or like helping edit the shows on his little, tape decks in his mom's fucking house. So he hustled. I mean, he grinded, and we know the whole story. And
Oh,
maybe he doesn't rub people the right way nowadays, and probably owes people a lot of money from all these years. But you cannot.
yeah, like, dude, pay him now. You've
Yeah.
got the money now. You can pay him. You can pay that debt.
I would have definitely paid a lot of people by now if I was him. But to each their own. But you can't knock this hustle. Like this clip is literally him explaining, like, all right, so like we're gonna do this at the show, and then the pay-per-view, and then this match, and while his mom is literally ironing clothes next to him. It's just a sight to see. It's fantastic. So we see this run out of the suburbs in Philadelphia, New Jersey, but here we have Paul Heyman at ECW. Is this Barely Legal 1997, right?
I think so, yeah.
And we have the epic Paul Heyman speech. One of the best speeches, one of the best promos, I'd say, in wrestling. And it comes from this documentary. Like, I've heard this clip used in a whole lot of stuff. But tonight we have a chance to say, fuck you, you're wrong. Fuck you, we're right. We're too extreme. We're too full of our own shit. But tonight you have made it to the dance. And believe me, this is the dance. Start the show. Great talk here from Paul Heyman, rallying his troops. We've reviewed this show, right? Barely Legal 1997.
We have, yes.
Awesome fucking show. Like the rewatch value on it is great, but this is a great little clip here of him getting people hyped for it. And then the story, we see his wife, Terry Funk's wife, I should say, going into the crowd, watching this match. This whole movie is just poor wives watching their men's get fucked up. And then we see clips of Terry Funk at 53. Now, I remember watching this in probably like 2005 when I got my hands on this, being like, whoa, this dude's 53. And then all these years later, I'm like, whoa, this dude's 60 something.
Yeah.
Still doing this? Holy shit. Nowadays, like a 53-year-old's like what? Like Randy Orton, AJ Styles, Finn Balor.
Yeah, I mean, what Jericho is.
All these jack dudes, whereas back here, Terry Funk looks like he's barely.
Jericho's 55 today.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
And then, I think like.
Crazy. It's crazy. 53. Like, I thought he was older, but
Bobby Lashley turns 50 this year. You know,
yeah. Well, he's not human. Yeah, so
no, but still.
We see Terry Funk 53 doing moonsaults, and oh man, the helicopter spot. Is that why I hate it now? Because no one can ever do it as good as this fucking psycho. Like the clip on Sandman here, he knocked him out. There is no way that doesn't cause serious damage. Like I forget what match was it recently where someone did the helicopter and it looked so.
I think it was Shiloh Hill, wasn't it?
Oh, okay, it was NXT because it's like they're so not used to that. But this is just him legit spinning around and nailing people in the head. So absolute madness with the helicopter. Like what a psycho. But Terry Funk wins it and wins the ECW title, and then the crowd is crazy for it. And afterwards, he's drinking a beer with the boys, talking to his wife. They're checking on him. I'm happy. I was happy to see ECW had a doctor backstage. You wouldn't necessarily think
was
they
he
had
a real
that
doctor?
Yeah, maybe not. But someone was checking on Terry Funk, so at least that was a thing. So I liked this, showing like, hey, this guy is in the twilight of his career, but it has clips of Heyman being like, hey, we should thank Terry Funk for, giving us the rub essentially here. Like, hey, he brought a lot of eyes and attention to us and helped us get to where we are right now. So it was a nice nod. Yeah, it's a nice nod of like, hey, this guy, there's a reoccurring thread of at least Terry Funk. His wife says it at least twice in this movie of like, she doesn't say it like this, but I'm going to paraphrase. We're already rich. Terry's not doing this for money. Okay. Yeah. Like he's doing it for love of the game. Right. It's doing it for pride kind of thing. So like this dude already has a ranch. He doesn't need more money. He just fucks with the game so hard. And that's why we love him so much. But love this whole segment from Heyman's speech to Terry and everything in it. But we go from that to another hardcore legend, Mick Foley. And I like how they tie it in here. Like, hey, Terry Funk's a crazy old man, and he's got a friend who's like, what, 20 years younger, but
crazy young guy. Yeah.
also crazy. And they're like just a match made in heaven for each other. So they are best friends. but legendary rivals. And then this great clip of Terry Funk and Mick Foley together, just smiling, hanging out. And they go, we learned a long time ago that the harder you hurt each other means the more money you make, which means the stronger friendship we have because we're rich. and then they laugh.
And that was interesting because Barry Blaustein says that of all the wrestlers and people he interviewed, Mick Foley's the most normal one of them all.
Which is crazy.
And when you think of the crazy shit he does, how he looks and all that, you wouldn't necessarily think that. But I think us as wrestling fans kind of know that. He's very lucky that he's not really, lost his mind or anything with all those headshots he's taken over the years.
Absolutely. Yeah. Considering he's got like all these books, and like he's always come across as a pretty smart guy as well, like with it. So, and you considering you get dumped on his head or smashed a lot. But Mick Foley and Terry Funk, anytime they're together, I'm happy camper seeing them just having a gas about killing each other, and that's what makes them best friends. It's like, Jesus, that's crazy. Mick Foley ravioli commercial from WWF. Oh yeah, love that. The ravioli, Mick Foley pretending he's the Statue of Liberty, but with Chef Boyardee. They show like clips of Mick Foley. They say he comes from Long Island, showing him like making home movies as a kid with him wrestling. We've heard him talk about Jimmy Snuka doing the splash. So there's so many like backyard wrestling clips of Foley doing splashes off his like shed or whatever, but him getting beat up. We see clips of Dave Meltzer here talking about Foley, like, hey, this guy isn't a psycho. He just wants people to see what he can do, like kind of saying he's an artist and he's a perfectionist a little bit. We see Mick Foley, clips of him again lighting Terry Funk on fire, jumping off ladders, barbed wire, and then cuts to him. Yeah. But then cuts to him at home, and he's just a family man. He's with his wife, his kids. Shout out Noelle Foley. Nipples.
Oh, she's the star of this, right?
Right.
Yeah.
This was her thing for years, where she's like, yes, I'm still that kid who said nipples in that movie a few times, because she says it a few times. Mick is like, stop saying that. Stop. She's obsessed with this word right now.
Yeah.
So he's just the nicest guy with his family, like a lovable family man, a teddy bear, and then goes to work and lights people on fire. I don't know. It's cool.
I think you find that in movies though as well. Aren't some of the biggest like villains, bastards, just like the actors are just the nicest family guy people?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's just funny seeing like him with his two kids, Dewey, Noelle, his wife, and just hanging. And then this just rocked me to my core. I was just talking about different ages and wrestlers. So Terry Funk, 53, talking about retiring. Okay, get this. Mick Foley says, yeah, I just want to do this while I can. I'm willing to take risks now so that I can retire by the time I'm 35. Dude, I'm turning 35. You're like, what?
I'm turning 37 this year.
This guy says he wants to retire at 35, which means how fucking old were you already? You look like you're 45.
But I think his first retirement, I think he's 36, 37. And but I remember as a kid watching, like, because they fire him in 1999. He's in a pink slip on a pole match against The Rock around like December time, if I remember. And then The Rock kind of has the whole locker room come out and protest, and they reinstate him. And then obviously you have him turn into Cactus Jack, and it's that great Royal Rumble match with Triple H, and then retires at No Way Out, and then they bring him back for that WrestleMania. But that's his first retirement. And I remember being a kid watching this, being like, yeah, it's time to hang up the boots.
Yeah,
this guy's old. I love him. He's great, but this guy is fucking old. And think like, yeah, he retires at around my age now. Like John and Way are significantly older than Mick Foley during his first retirement. And sure, he comes back, but he doesn't for a few years. It's what, three years? I think 3-4 years until he comes back for the Randy stuff.
He comes back for the Randy stuff, and then he takes a break, and then he got Edge stuff, and he's back for like a little bit, and then he's in TNA, which I don't really count, but like he's still wrestling, he's still doing stuff. So it's pretty crazy. It just my heart skipped a beat when he said, "Yeah, I'm hoping I can retire at the old age of 35." I was like,
and they're like, "What are you gonna do?" And he's like, "Oh, don't know. Just hopefully make enough money that I can retire."
Yeah. Well, he'll still wrestle. He'll find comfort in some podcasting, some comedy. He's still in the wrestling world, but yeah, I was like, wow, this guy's talking about retiring at 35, brother. Oh man. I just always thought he was so much older. Like,
oh yeah,
when he cleans up, I can see what he pulled. He could be a handsome guy when his teeth look all right and his hair.
Oh, when you see, when he's younger and stuff, and he's not as grizzly.
Yeah, he just likes looking that way, I guess.
Yeah,
but it's just interesting. That rocked me, saying 35. That means he's not even 35 yet. I was like, Jesus Christ. He looks like he's 50 at this point. How old was he then in 1998? Let's say he's filming this in 1998. What the fuck? Like, that's insane. That means he's like 30 here. No, that means he's like 33. So he wants to retire soon then after this, which he doesn't. But yeah, damn. Shows clips of Mick Foley.
He retired the first time, age 34. Wow. That's your age, right?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
It shows clips of the infamous Hell in a Cell with the Undertaker. I mean, we've talked about this to death, but it just shows like this. Imagine showing this to someone who doesn't know wrestling and everything, and showing this guy get thrown twice off this thing. And then it shows clips of his wife being like, yeah, we didn't know about that second that cage, but everyone watching it was like, oh, that thing looks like it's gonna break. So
they reiterate what we've heard a lot, that everyone remembers the first bump, but it's the second one that really fucked him up.
Scared everyone. Absolutely mental. No matter how many times. Mick Foley, there's a clip of him talking about it, and he says that it's the worst moment of his life because he was just like so incoherent and like out of it and whatnot. But I don't know if it was after this match or after something else where it plays the voicemail that he left Barry, where he's just like completely out of his mind because he's
I don't know. And Barry says it's the first time he's spoken to him where he like just hasn't had a clue what he's talking about
because he got so banged up or whatever. But it just shows this guy. Okay, a lot of people have called him like the stunt man of wrestling and whatever, but he's so adamant. Like, I want to make sure people out there paid money to see me fucking do something crazy. I have to deliver. And that's something that follows, in days of like our Darby Allins or our Jeff Hardys or other people that do these more maybe death-defying stunts. It's like, no, now I have to, because I want people to remember me like that. So yeah, there is like, okay, Mick Foley probably making a pretty penny getting his head smashed in and jumping off the cell and all that stuff. But like, still, it's like he's got the love of the game in this too. Obviously, he's just fucking crazy. But more on Mick Foley later, because we go from that to our next wrestler focus is Jake the Snake Roberts. We have some clips here showing him in the WWF with the Snake, Damien, and some very scary promos. I always remember him being very, very scary. And it shows Paul Heyman being asked about him. He says, man, Jake the Snake, one of the best characters and wrestlers. It has JR being like, this guy is the best. Both these guys like praising him, and then it shows clips of them being like, but his demons, he wasn't the most athletic, but he's still like one of the best talkers, one of the best promos. And it just shows what Jake was and then kind of where Jake is in 1998 at this point, which again, this is definitely the inspiration for the movie The Wrestler. Like, Aronofsky,
especially once you get into the stuff with his daughter.
Yeah, like 100%.
Easily the inspiration.
So Jake is now like working, small independent indie wrestling, and we see clips of people like, oh yeah, he's not great to work with, this and that. One guy's like, yeah, he stole my money and told me if I don't get him crack, he's not showing up. It's like, geez, okay, well, that's a good way to intro Jake here. So Barry goes to Nebraska to watch some indie wrestling, and Jake is there, and like all these people are there to see Jake the Snake. Like this indie show packed a lot of people. The gimmick table line for Jake was packed. Like a lot of people are there and to see him, so they can thank Jake for the house. But he's not necessarily in the best of shape here. But
No.
He's kind of depressing. He's talking about like how his life can be in shambles. You see him sitting down, just like looking sad. But then as soon as I walk through that curtain, I turn it on and he becomes Jake the Snake. It cuts of clips from him wrestling here to clips of him in his underwear. Now this is insane. This whole Jake the Snake's archive clip here, video version here, whatever this segment is, batshit nuts, because it shows this like girl in the crowd. She cheers and she wants a hug, so he runs over and gives her like a hug, or she gets in the ring and hugs him or kiss or whatever, right? You hear Jake discussing like, oh hey, like this girl, she could go get married 7 times, she could have 7 kids, she could get divorced 7 times, then she could marry a woman transvestite trucker, but she will still remember this night she kissed Jake the Snake Roberts. And then it cuts to like the video, like, so you can hear him saying that, but when it cuts to the video of this interview of him talking about this girl, he's in his fucking underwear, like out the bag, drunk, like or on some substances. And it's like, oh my God, what are you fucking saying? And then it gets really even darker and depressing. It talks about how his mom was only 13. His dad got her pregnant by assault and then got with her. Again, the Jake the Snake documentary has come out. The Dark Side stuff has come out on Grizzly.
Yeah, the Grizzly Smith Dark Side.
Very dark.
Like this touches it, and you're like, it, but it's almost you switch off and you go like, sorry, wait, what? His mum was 13?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's awful. Like the life this guy had. And I wonder, because he's probably the person that comes off worst in this, but there is some empathy towards him when you're watching and you hear this stuff and you hear the life he had and the relationship with his dad. But you know, he comes off the worst in this documentary, and I wonder what his how he felt after this came out, but also his state of mind going in and having cameras like in these moments. Was it, you know, almost a cry for help, where it's, you know, if you expose it so much, that can be like rock bottom to pick you up? Or was it he was already at rock bottom, that he didn't give a fuck anymore?
I had that question watching this, and afterwards, I looked it up. I searched Jake thoughts on this, and there's a minute clip. Someone asked him, I'd say a few years ago from now, but before now, and he shits all over it. He says that he hates the way he was portrayed. He said it was like he was scammed. He didn't realize he was. I feel 2 ways about it. Okay.
I mean, you got cameras there and you got a guy interviewing you making a film. Like,
yeah.
Before you were scammed, maybe lay off the crack, buddy. Like,
yeah, I feel like it was just such a bad time. And I'd say, like, I don't know if this in my case. So right away I was like, ooh, Jake, like, I know you're cleaned up your act now. And I don't know when this interview I watched was from, but then like, he just seems pretty upset just because the way he came across, like a complete dickhead in this thing, and an addict and the junk. Like, he looks bad in this, right? But like, as me watching this, knowing he's gonna go even further rock bottom and then has a triumphant comeback, essentially. Like, DDP saves his life. They do a whole documentary on it, and dude is still like making towns, going to wrestling stuff. If he's not on AEW, he's doing conventions and stuff. Like, his life has turned around. So I don't know if I'm saying like, hey man, it worked out for you in the end, because like you're still here and you're okay and everything, you know, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like hearing him say he was really upset with how he's portrayed here, I'm like, well, dude, they just filmed you talking about all this crazy shit. So like, I don't know, like there's a clip of him talking about like, oh, like I was on the road and I was banging girls at 1 at a time, 2 at a time, 3 at a time, and he he's just saying all these things. It's like, okay, you're on substances and stuff, sure, but like you're the one saying these things, like to say like, oh, I was put in a bad light. Like, man, they fucking just recorded you. So I don't know.
I wonder as well what, like, because we watched this today with knowing that he kind of sorts his life out, and I just, but I also think just in general attitudes towards addicts are a lot different from where they were in when this documentary was made in like 98, 99. And I think there is a bit more empathy towards it. Like we understand that people don't necessarily choose to get to this position, and like, you know, life is going against them and all that kind of thing. And so I think you're watching it with, yeah, like it's awful. We'll get to the stuff with his daughter, how like finally sees her and is like reaching out and then spends 4 minutes with her and goes back to his room to get fucked up. Like,
Yeah.
And you watch it going like, oh, you piece of shit. But also, and I think that's where the wrestler like does really well, because you are feeling for Randy the Ram the whole time. Even but you completely understand, like his daughter in both this and the wrestler completely justified in being angry and upset and not trusting him and whatever. But you do see the human side of him as well, where you kind of understand how it got to there.
Yeah. Like it'll cut away and we'll go to some other stuff, but it will go back to him. And like Barry, this director, I think sets up like, oh wait, you haven't talked to your daughter? Like, what if you did? And I don't know if, again, maybe that's where Jake is like, hey man, you kind of set me up to do this. It's like, man, I just wanted to fucking help you in some way, I guess, right? But yeah, so it ends kind of this part. We'll get into the part with his daughter, but he talks about like being fucked up on the road, you know, whether it's his past trauma with his family stuff, with, you know, family members being kidnapped and killed, his dad and all this kind of stuff, you know, awful situations, which maybe led him to how he is now. But it's pretty crazy. It makes me want to watch that DDP doc again and the Dark Side, because it's so.
There's a good fun. Like quadrilogy of films, isn't there? Like this Dark Side on Grizzly Smith,
but yeah, like we're watching this
the wrestler and
true,
and the resurrection.
We're watching this on the other side knowing like, hey man, it's gonna be okay for you. But originally for years you watch us being like, oh, this guy's fucking like waste, he's done. And it's sad. It's definitely fucked up. We will get back to Jake, but we see a clip of China from the WWF. We see her getting in the car. Do you see who was her driver in this?
No,
I don't know where they were. Were they out shopping? Is China out shopping with like her friends or her family, her sister or something? And I don't know. Her driver had this really weird haircut and a leather cap on in this clip.
Oh, was it Triple H?
Big old nose.
Oh, yeah.
We see Triple H driving her around and going shopping. And we see China says that, you know, she always was very girly, but loved lifting weights. And her parents think that she's a lesbian. She's like, not that there's anything wrong with that, but no, I'm not. And this is just something I'm into. Here we're getting like quick little bios on some wrestlers that are like not getting the main focus here, but it was cool seeing like China. I mean, at the time, anyone you first look at China, like, oh shit, who is this kind of giant Amazon woman, right? So I guess that's why they wanted to throw that in here. But we then go from that to an indie wrestling death match fed somewhere, and we see someone who is a teacher by Monday to Friday who eventually quit his job to chase the dream of pro wrestling. And Barry here is like, oh, you were a teacher? And he's like, oh yeah, I was in English literature and like Shakespeare, all that stuff. He's like, oh, like quote me some Shakespeare. But this guy is post-match covered in blood trying to recite like Shakespeare here. Did you recognize who this was?
I didn't at first, but it's Spike Dudley.
Yeah.
And going from a third grade teacher and saying, And interesting point, interesting pick, his favorite Shakespeare play.
Okay, why? What was it?
It's not, it's one of the history ones. It's Henry IV Part 2. I know he said Falstaff is his, like, he quotes Falstaff, which is the fool. But
Right.
I wonder if he's inspired by that. Like, basically, the fool in Shakespeare plays often are the smartest characters in the whole thing. Like,
Okay.
they're the court jester or whatever, but they're the one who really knows what's going on and sees the world, and is often has the most like social commentary that that Shakespeare's trying to include in there. And you kind of think of that as Spike Dudley to an extent. You know, he's the little run to the litter. He's the one you don't take so seriously, but maybe he was the smartest one of the Dudley boys.
I didn't recognize him at first, but it's so funny because he's also like covered in blood, and someone off camera is like, "Hey man, like maybe wipe your face a little bit."
Mm.
And he could tell he's kind of flustered because he's probably in a lot of pain. He just has all that adrenaline, and then is asked, "Hey, can you recite this Shakespeare?" And he's kind of like, yeah, I can. I'm just kind of my head's all over the place here." But it was a great little bit for this movie. We go from that to Coco Beware, who's in a hotel room, who they say is still trying to hold on to a little bit of that spotlight, you know, like doing indie shows, conventions, and stuff like that. And we see him in a hotel
And his
getting
parrot.
ready with his parrot, Frankie, who he says, you know, one of these days I'm going to let him out and Frankie's just going to fly away. And many websites have reported that one day that did happen. However, Frankie was returned, I think. I could be wrong on that, but I'm going to assume there was more than one Frankie, but I don't know enough. Like Damien, did he die and then he got another snake and then maybe there's
Probably.
this parrot? I don't know, but this poor Coco Beware kind of catching a stray here from Barry, who's like, you know, some wrestlers are really trying to hold on to that spotlight, and you see Coco in his hotel like doing the dance, like, hey, and some, well, they're thriving since leaving, and then it cuts to like what Senator or whoever, Jesse Ventura. It's like, okay, well, yeah, he left wrestling. He's like, I left when I was on top. Fuck wrestling. Politics are way more cutthroat than pro wrestling. And you see Jesse being interviewed about like, you know, wrestling was tough and all this stuff and talking about politics and why he chose to leave. And then as soon as like the interview kind of like wraps in this like short 20-30 second clip, you just see him raise the biggest fucking stogie cigar. It's the 90s, different time, man.
Oh yeah.
This guy's mid-sentence, like, yeah, you know, politics and smoking on this cigar. What a legend. It cuts from that to more of Vince McMahon. We see him like getting his ass kicked and the whole Stone Cold rivalry, and you know, Barry, the narrator, saying like, hey, everyone wants to beat up their boss, and maybe that's part of why that story and character worked so well. And then you have the famous line, which definitely used in the Vince McMahon documentary years later. Vince McMahon is different. You know, the performer is different from the person, but sometimes you don't know. I think Vince is using this to describe someone else, but pretty eerie of how he's doing that. We see another clip of New Jack, ECW, talking about how he's missing Knuckles, saying how he's killed some people in the past. He's very violent, and now he has a job that he can hurt people and get paid. And
yeah, so he should be a superstar in Hollywood, right?
yeah, so this is I completely forgot about this.
Yeah.
This is nuts. So New Jack is explaining that like he created this character of New Jack that's like scary and, you know, all like homicidal, whatever, but that's not who he is fully in real life. It's a little like amped up. But then I guess New Jack, out of all the people who came across Barry being interviewed, New Jack was just right to the point. Like, oh, hey, you make movies? Can you get me in a movie? And that's basically Barry's like, sure. So he gets New Jack an audition. I completely forgot about this. This is fucking great.
Is this in Dark Side? I feel I have seen
Is this
before,
real?
but I kind of forgot about it.
This is fucking hilarious. So New Jack's in a Hollywood audition and he reads like 3 lines and they're like, oh, really good, really good. And then there's a moment. So thanks for coming in. Yeah, you didn't get it, but like, you know, you could be a leading man. And then the lady is like,
Maybe
don't know
best
about
friend.
Yeah, she says, I don't know if you're Denzel, but you could be Denzel's friend, essentially, is what she says here. Fucking brutal. This was weird. New Jack in Hollywood. Could you, okay, follow me for a second. Imagine New Jack in Hollywood, 1998, which means 1999. He could have been in, like, you know, Armageddon. Could have been in, I don't know, so many movies. Imagine his Hollywood career took off. New Jack. What movies would you put him in?
I could imagine him as the like
A scary New Jack type character, yeah, I guess. But...
well, that or like either like villain, gang leader. But I could imagine him as the buddy cop, like the second in command thing. I think he'd be a fucking nightmare on the set, though.
I couldn't imagine him on set, dude.
Man, I've been watching the US Traitors, and like seeing Michael Rappaport in real life as reality TV is.
Yeah.
I'm like, how the fuck could anyone work with this guy?
Right, yeah.
And I'm watching this with New Jack, and I'm thinking the same thing. It's like, you'd have been a fucking nightmare.
I would have
stabbing people that upsets him, you know?
Yeah, anyone who pisses him off. Oh, hey, you messed up your line there. Take 3, and just forked someone in the face. Like, absolutely crazy. I would have put him in Wild Wild West. He could have been Emotep in The Mummy, 1999. Maybe that's what he was casting for here. I'm not sure, but what movie do you think he was casting for? If they said Denzel, was it? Let's see, Denzel movie 1999. The Hurricane and the Bone Collector.
Bone Collector was the one I was. That's the sequel, right? Isn't that Along Came a Spider?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, he could have been a.
He could have been the fucking spider, dude. I don't know. That movie, he is the Bone Collector, literally. Because Barry is like, hey, for someone who's got like 4 justified homicides, I got along pretty well with him. And it's like, okay, sure.
Maybe could he be in the Captain Michael Rooker's character? Like Michael Rooker's a little rough as well, isn't he? He could fuck you up. I forgot how good this cast is actually.
Maybe we're thinking wrong. Like the way he was reading here for his audition, maybe he was testing for like rom-coms. Maybe we're putting him in the wrong genre just because he's a pro wrestler. Like he could have been
Love Actually with the New Jack.
Chocolat. The Family Man with New Jack.
What we could have had, man.
I'm never letting this go from now on. New Jack, Hollywood New Jack.
Okay, I'm gonna I'm gonna do some digging.
Holy shit! Like New Jack in Hollywood would have been sick. Imagine like New Jack in a rom-com. Like move over, Matthew McConaughey. Any of these movies in like 99, 2000, he would have slayed. He would have killed it. Maybe literally killed someone. But fuck, could you imagine the horror of New Jack being in all these Hollywood movies of our friend Brandon from New Jersey, watching them? He'd get PTSD.
Yeah.
From this guy who broke his boombox one day. Rest in peace, New Jack. There's a lot of people in this movie who aren't with us anymore, but rest in peace, New Jack. So we go from that. New Jack, Hollywood, didn't really work out. Back to Terry Funk. He says he is going to be retiring. He was this like cauliflower ear club or one of these like wrestling, meetings and group things where Terry Funk gets on the microphone and says that he will be retiring.
Cauliflower Alley?
Yeah, Cauliflower. Sorry. He says that here we go. Tri-State Fairgrounds. It's going to be a WWF produced show, and it's going to be Terry Funk's retirement. 50 Years of Funk, September 11th, 1997. Brett versus Terry Funk in this like smaller kind of thing. It
was kind of, this reminded me in a way of like the first All In, like where, Ring of Honor produced it, but their name wasn't anywhere on it. This was called WrestleFest, 50 Years of Terry Funk. And WWF were helping, but this does not look like a WWF show at all.
Yeah, it's so small. but
like you got the rest. You've got Bret Hart in the main event, obviously, and stuff like that. But
you got like ECW
but this would have
crossover.
been after Bret left. So
this is 97. No, this is September 97.
Oh, this is 97. Okay,
yeah.
right.
The footage
Got
here
you.
is from 97. Yeah.
Got you.
So Terry's getting ready for this last match where he will fight Bret Hart. So we see Terry show up here. And are you a big fan of this guy in this movie? Dennis Stamp, who is this former pro wrestler who now works as an exterminator, killing roaches. And he shows up and being interviewed here is absolutely furious that he has not been booked on Terry Funk's final show. And he says, I got here today and found out I'm not involved on the show. Therefore, I'm not going to stay and watch the show because I'm not booked on it. And I'm very upset.
Oh, he's salty. He is salty here.
He might be the star of this movie from this.
This is something I hadn't seen before. But yeah,
he's
so
good.
Pissed.
So he is just going off.
Referee or fucking something like.
Yeah, he's so angry that like no one asked him to do anything on this show so he could get paid to do something. And then in one of the best jump scares of this entire movie, he goes, I used to be a wrestler. I wrestled all the greats, Dory, Terry Funk. I've wrestled all of them. And sure, it's 1997. Well, when was your last match? Asks Barry. 1991, but I'm always by the phone ready for that call. Sorry, brother. 1991 was your last match. And then it shows him, but every day I wait by the phone. I'm working out. I'm getting ready. This jump scare of him working out. This might be you want a beach bod, Davie. This is a new way to get jacked.
Oh, I just need to get a trampoline.
This guy, I don't know how to describe this.
He's like, I don't do any tricks or flips or anything. I just bounce. It's like that episode of Community, right? Like he's just bouncing in his backyard like all day.
It's gonna be amazing. Yeah, he might have a matching tattoo like that episode underneath. But this guy, the jump scare here of him talking like, oh, I'm still staying in shape. You never know when your next match could be. And it cuts to him in a Speedo on a trampoline with the tiniest little weights in his hands, just jumping up and down. And he says, that's how I get in shape. I fucking howled watching this. This was amazing. So he is furious that he's not called for this show. And he says that I wait by the phone. The phone could ring anytime for my next match. I never give up hope when it comes to pro wrestling. Like showing how delusional this dude is, right?
Yeah.
It then cuts to Terry Funk showing up, and this fucking guy approaches him, and he gets mad at Terry. He goes, it would be real great if I was booked on this show. And Terry, who is the sweetest man here, if this was me, oh my God, I would have fucking lost it on this guy. Terry is like, what do you mean? What's wrong? What's wrong? What do you mean? What's wrong? And he goes, well, I'm pretty pissed. I'm pretty upset. I'm not booked on the show, not even as a referee. Come on. And he goes, what? Come on, come watch the show. No, I'm not going to watch the show. Well, why aren't you going to watch the show? Come on, watch the show. Nope.
I've got plans. I'm busy.
I got previous engagements. Yeah, I'm busy now. I'm not coming to watch it. He goes, no, come on. I want you to watch the show. I need you to be here to watch me retire. Come on, you're my friend. And he goes, no. He goes, come on, I'll get you on. I'll get you booked. I'll get you. You'll make some money. No, I don't care about the money.
He's like, I asked you ages ago. If I could ref or something. Don't offer me now.
What a delusional dude. Like this was hilarious. I've learned that this guy is also since passed away, Dennis Stamp, but oh my God, stealing the show here, like psycho. And Terry Funk just being like, look, fuck it. You're reffing me and Bret. And then he's like, oh yeah? Oh, really? Oh yeah? Yeah, you're reffing the main event. Just you're reffing it. Don't worry about it. You're going to ref the main event. And he's like, oh, okay. And then later it shows him, hey, so am I getting paid? Because I paid 100 and something to get here. And like, I kind of need that back. Oh my God. This guy stole the show from me. I looked this dude up afterwards, and many people who watch this movie felt the same way as I think you did too. Like, what is going on with this dude?
Yeah.
It's the jumping on the trampoline, dude, in the Speedo that really.
Like, did Terry Funk and Dennis Stamp just have this legendary
rivalry.
I'm looking up like
this guy like
so they were longtime Texas friends, but yeah, it's very funny, very
fucking
funny.
nuts, dude. Absolutely crazy. Okay, this dude is originally from Minnesota and wrestled a lot in. It looks like he wrestled in Thunder Bay. Hey, interesting Canadian connection there. But then, yeah, made it down to Texas.
He's done
and
some
had
WWF stuff, and
yeah, but like to be upset at someone, like, dude, no, I'm not gonna watch this show because you didn't book me on it. Like, what the fuck? Like, you have this, like, you expect this out of someone, and Terry Funk just so nice. Like, oh yeah, you're the ref. Like, no worries. Wow.
Apparently he was on Colt Cabana's Art of Wrestling podcast talking about this as well.
Like,
so
everyone watched this and you're like, yo, what's this guy's deal? Like, the phone's gonna ring. Yeah. I'm still waiting for that next match. It's like, well, when did you wrestle your last one? 6 years ago.
Yeah. Crazy.
This is great. This is so good.
I think I've discovered what movie New Jack was auditioning for.
What was it?
He Got Game, directed by Spike Lee, starring Denzel Washington, 1998 release.
Oh, interesting.
Okay. It was the same period of time that Beyond the Mat was filmed, same period of time when He Got Game was casting. New Jack once mentioned auditioning for a Spike Lee movie with Denzel. And so I think it's that one.
That's fucking hilarious. Yeah, You Got Game. I don't think I've ever watched this movie, but
a basketball player's father must try to convince him to go to a college so he can get a shorter sentence.
Wow. Damn. That's
Denzel,
crazy.
Rosario Dawson, Mila Djokovic. Yeah.
Damn, that's crazy. John Turturro.
Yeah.
Was that who replaced
John Turturro replaced. He was going to be Coach Billy Sunday, or was he going to be Big Time Willie?
Yeah, that was definitely New Jack.
Or Jesus Shuttleworth. Man, I got to watch this film.
Jesus Shuttleworth or Sip. Definitely playing one of these characters, or definitely not Molly, but Shaquille O'Neal's in this movie. A bunch of basketball players. Damn. Wow. That's hilarious. New Jack's Hollywood career. I'm learning a lot from this movie. Like, I came in this movie knowing that we're going to talk about Jake, Mick, Terry Funk, etc. But Dennis Stamp and New Jack definitely stealing the show from this movie because fucking hilarious. So Terry Funk loses to Bret Hart and then retires for 3 months. And then wrestles again and again.
3 months.
Forever.
And but there's a scene of him going like, I'm what, 53? Did we say? He's like, I'm 53. It's time to, like, the young guys, they have to have their moment. Like, I'm getting old. I've done everything in wrestling there is to do. He's got this big show. He even got Dennis Stamp to referee the main event. And
I need to watch that match and make sure
that
he's
retired. Yeah. Oh, fantastic.
So we go from that. There's some pretty funny shit there with that Dennis Stamp dude. Oh my God. Hilarious. But we go from that to more of Jake the Snake. So it gets a little bit more sad and depressing. Barry has set up Jake to visit his daughter, who Jake in some clips here says, like, I was not in her life. I was not a good father. Like, barely have seen her in her entire life. But the last time I did see her was like 4 years ago or something like that. It has an interview with his daughter, who is talking about, like, growing up without a dad, essentially, like all these like journal entries and photos and stuff with her mom. Basically, like, I hate my dad, et cetera, et cetera. So you can see the relationship here is already very difficult. So they set up to meet at a hotel. They're going to have a hotel stay for a night. And she asks Jake on the phone, like, hey, I'm going to bring friends here just to, like, have my back, essentially. And he's like, yeah, of course. So Jake shows up, meets his daughter. It's this very emotional, like, hey, sorry, I wasn't there in your life and everything. And you kind of said it earlier where Barry explains, like, they hung out for like barely any time. And then Jake goes back to his hotel room. And we later learn that it was because he went and did crack.
Yeah.
So very depressing and heavy stuff here, where it's like, man, this guy, you're at this hotel and then you meet her and then you're like, I'm pretty tired. I'm going to hit the hay for tonight. And then you just go to your room to smoke crack. It's like,
I mean,
fuck.
this is maybe where the director possibly did manipulate stuff a little bit.
Maybe.
You know, like if he, like, did Jake know the whole time where he was going, who he was seeing? Like, did he get in touch with the daughter without his knowledge? Like, I don't know. Like, because the fact it's this very awkward, like, hey, how's it going? How are you? And then straight back to the room.
Whereas the clip earlier where someone explained on an indie fed, like, hey, Jake asked for this much money. We gave it to him. And then he held us up for more money because he wanted to do drugs and like this. Whereas here, he doesn't say, Barry doesn't say, hey, he left the room to go smoke crack. It's later, many, many minutes later, that he goes, hey, I actually eventually learned that the reason he went to the room was because I caught him smoking crack again. So I know what you mean. Because, yeah, Jake is definitely disowned this movie, being like, yo, this guy fucked me over, blah, blah, blah. But it doesn't look like that, because the clip, he has clips of Jake being like, yeah, I'm ready to do this. I want to do this. And then you have clips of the daughter like, oh, I'm nervous. And then they meet and then Jake just fucks off. Yeah. So really it's still Jake. Like, I don't know. He's an addict at this point. It's a tough.
Oh yeah.
It's tough. Like, yeah, the guy, you just met your daughter after so long and then you just go smoke more. It's fucking nuts. But really, this is the saddest part of this movie for sure. Jake's part of it. Mick Foley, back to him in the WWF. He is learning that, he's won the WWF championship. Now, is this kind of the storyboard here? This is when Foley wins on Raw, right? The big.
He wins the title, what, 3 times?
Oh, sorry. He's won it multiple times. Yeah.
Like not long, but he wins the one at you know, the one that will put butts on seats.
Yeah.
And then did he win at Halftime Heat? One of them. It's all around the same period of time though. Around here.
Like 1998.
Yeah.
So Mick Foley wins the WWF championship, and now he's going to have a rematch with The Rock at the Royal Rumble, and it's going to be an I Quit match. And Mick is planning this very violent encounter with The Rock. So naturally, he invites his wife and kids to sit front row to watch this match.
Okay, so this is his first. Sorry, this is his first title reign. He wins it on Raw against The Rock, and then defends against Kane the week after, and then loses at the Rumble. Yeah, of course.
So Mick and The Rock here are earlier in the day planning out this I Quit match. They're planning like some of these spots where Foley's going to fall off some things and all that. It has some interviews of kids and fans outside the arena that day talking about how much they love Mick Foley and appreciate him. Like, he does all this for our entertainment and he's crazy. He jumps off anything. It has Mick talking to his kids saying like, hey, remember me and Rock are friends, right? And they're like, yeah, it's just pretend, right? Yeah. Like we practice this like 10 times. Don't worry. Like, it's all make believe. And his kids are like, yeah. And then a thing I always remember here is he says to Noelle, who's again, like 5 years old, if that, says, hey, you just rode Back to the Future. You can make it through anything. And I think I think back to like my younger brothers, like, we're so terrified of rides, and it's like, yo, that ride is not scary. You can do this. You could do this. So you see how he's
young though.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's nice seeing how like he's such a family man. When to me as a fan, I'm used to seeing him just bloody and barbed wire and all that shit. So, the wife, the kids are set to sit like literally front or second row for this match. And then backstage, Mick is talking to Vince. We see Shane is talking to the kids as well. Austin walks by. Some great cameos here. And this is where we see the clip of The Rock doing his promo for the match and just like absolutely nails it. The producer, I forget, is it his writer here, who's like, okay, say it to me. And then The Rock like says it in short form, and then they go, okay, now roll. And then he just nails it. It's like, okay, yeah, you're the Rock.
And it's almost like he's also telling the producer, or at least this is the sense I got, like, and hey, when I say if you smell what the Rock is cooking, that's when you cut. That's my closing line.
Yeah. He's like, befuddled. That's the word, right? Yeah. And then he says, yeah, befuddled, the people's champ. It's like, okay, so the Rock goes out and does it. And then we go to the match, the infamous I Quit match, Mick Foley versus the Rock. You have Noel, Dewey, and Mick's wife sitting there watching as the Rock just dog walks their father and husband in front of them, absolutely murdering this man for everyone's entertainment. And then he is just absolutely fucked. He's bloodied up. He's destroyed. And so much that the wife grabs the kids and leaves before the match is even over. Even before like the nasty chair shots, she's already out of there, leaving this match. But I mean, this is a famous clip from this movie too, right?
Yeah, the mum, like, seeing that it's way too much. And, you know, I guess they've seen Mick do a lot of stuff, but even this is where they're like, wow, this is too far. And they're right front row for it. And she's like shielding their eyes and trying to get out of there. Yeah, it's pretty hard to watch.
Like, okay, I think they weren't there for the Hell in a Cell where he fell twice.
No, because she had to call, right?
Yeah.
That was when they paged him to say, you got to call your wife, because normally he would after every match.
So she is just so distraught. There's things I remember people always say, like, well, why would you put your kids there in this position, right? It's like, it is bad. And he's heard that criticism, like, hey, this was for a movie. My kids did like seeing me. They did usually know that this was make believe, but this, of course, like it went over the line and upset my wife and my kids and everything. But after the match, he's a bloody mess. He's telling them, look, it's just a boo-boo. I'm fine. I'm okay. Sort of. He's sort of okay. He has to get like stitches and all this stuff. But he says, you know, I think it's a few days later, Barry is at his house and shows him the match back. They rewatch it. And he's like, you know, maybe going forward, I'm just going to be the guy who pulls the sock out of my trousers. Which
is interesting because he said earlier, like, you know, I want to be more than just the guy that pulls a sock out of his pants. And then and if you think about it, like, yes, he does some crazy bumps after this, but I'd say they're a lot more controlled crazy bumps.
Sure.
You know, like I'm trying to think of the big matches after this. You've got the Triple H ones coming, which is, yes, it's a pedigree onto thumbtacks, but that's like, no, not that I want to take it, but it's more of a surface wound, you know, rather than lasting damage.
Just a scratch.
yeah, for Mick, yeah. The Hell in a Cell, they recreate the bump through the cell, but it's a gimmick cell. It's the ring's gimmicked. Sure, it's dangerous. There's a risk, but you know, the mat giving way was probably like a lot better for him. Like it was more of a stunt than an accident. And then you've got the ECW One Night Stand tag, which is that the barbed wire stuff? And I'd say it's a lot, as crazy shit goes and stuff that still gets a huge reaction, it's a lot safer than like 15 or however many is chair shots to the head or just being launched off a ladder onto a non-gimmick
absolutely
table. Sorry,
like, okay,
cell into a non-gimmick table.
Like here in some of these ones, the cell, this one, like there's a lot of stuff that could go wrong and really fucking kill him. But like later, you're like, he's set on fire, some barbed wire. It's not as like from certain heights or jumping off cages anymore. He definitely doesn't do that. Or maybe he does in that Hell in the Cell match with Triple H. He falls once, right? But that's way more safer.
And it's a stunt, if that makes sense. Like it's a planned stunt.
Yeah. And then I think in like the One Night Stand, the tag match with Terry, underrated fucking match. I don't care. God damn it, Mick. Where they're literally on fire by the end of that match. Like they had to put him out. So this guy will not, both these fucks don't retire for many years. But it's crazy. So like where the stuff with this match and The Rock, like there's a lot of discourse over the years. Mick has said some stuff. It looks like Foley and Rock have like squashed whatever this was many years ago. But the story goes is Mick is like, hey, The Rock like really fucking laid it in on that match, more so than what we kind of planned. And Mick kind of claiming that The Rock didn't check on him or show really any care afterwards, which has been sort of disputed with who is it? Who's the guy backstage who's in this movie a bunch? He still works for
Bruce
WWE. Pritchard, who's like, hey man, like you were concussed. The Rock did kind of say something.
Yeah, like I mean, think after Hell in a Cell, he forgot to phone his wife, which is his thing he does after every single match he has. And he's just been blasted with the chair by a pretty muscly guy over and over again.
Yeah.
He might have forgotten.
Right. So it sounds like over the years, Mick and The Rock have talked it over, and he's like, it's water under the bridge. Like he didn't do it necessarily on purpose, but even if he did, whatever, we made money, I guess, is what comes from that. But he just loves this business. So it kind of fades off of that with Mick Foley's wife saying like, never again, Mick, I'm not doing this kind of thing. And then Vince being like, hey, you okay? Okay, cool. Yeah. Nice. Shane being like, you okay? Okay, cool. Nice. And then we get a little wrap up here with Barry narrating like a little recap of where we are now with some of these people featured on what we just watched. Tony Jones and Mr. Modest never heard back from WWF. Works at Visa. One of them moves furniture. You said one of them goes on to wrestle a bit later on. Like
Mike Modest
in Japan.
Does. Yeah.
We see that Roland guy, the skeezy wrestling. He says his school is still open, but I imagine this man is no longer with us. There's a few people in this movie, but this indie promoter guy, he mentions Terry Funk's retirement lasted 3 months, and then he had another retirement in 1999. Gee, I wonder how long that one lasted for, because I was just talking about a match from like 06 with him in it, so clearly it didn't last long. It cuts to Jake Roberts saying that he's been in and out of jail. He never saw his daughter after this. And like, obviously we know years later, he has a bit of a redemption story. So that's okay. It shows Draws, who sadly never made it as Puke, but did make it on TV. And then
he sadly never made it as the Puke gimmick. Instead, they gave him something else.
It does show a graphic after, like, hey, after the release of this or filming of this, like Draws was paralyzed and they hope that he can
passed
walk
away
again.
What, a year or two ago, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Rest in peace. And then it shows Paul Heyman, who's got like ECW, got a deal on the rise, up and coming. And then Vince McMahon, who will take WWF, a family company, going public with the stock market and everything. So a little bow on that. And then kind of shows Barry watching like, hey, I just love this wrestling stuff. And I'm always going to love this wrestling stuff. And maybe after watching this, you'll learn to love it a little bit more too, as the credits roll. And we see a big thank you list here from Paul Levesque to Vince McMahon to Ron Howard to a bunch of people out there who maybe helped with the creation of this movie. But yeah, what a documentary. A lot in there. A great watch.
Yeah, it's very good. And I think actually like the style kind of in a way sets the precedent for those, you know, WWE 24 and like those the network documentaries they were doing, where it's just this, you get to see this cool backstage shit that you don't normally get to see. And I found that interesting. As we said at the top, I think it was a very respectful view at wrestling. And I think it's done in a way that I think as a non-wrestling fan, you'll find it pretty interesting. Obviously, like, this is 1999. I've, as I said at the top, like, seen all of this, having not seen it, if that makes sense. But yeah, I thought it was great. It was very well done.
I looked up some interviews, again, mostly Mick Foley, talking a lot about like the filming of this and everything. And apparently when they had a meeting where it was Barry who told Vince that he wants to focus on Mick Foley. Now, this is according to Mick Foley, that Vince said, yeah, I'm down for you to like interview and focus on some of our wrestlers, but I have a different wrestler in mind for who you should document. And again, according to Mick Foley, Vince turn down them talking and documenting Mick, and instead you should follow and document Ahmed Johnson.
Yeah. I mean, he was a big deal at the time. I
He
know
was.
a lot of people thought he could
He had a lot of
break out
armbands.
and be the guy. Yeah.
So yeah, he wears too many armbands. I don't really want to do that. I thought that was quite interesting. And then apparently, according to Barry, he did a private screening for Vince, and Vince liked it. And then it was Linda who was like, Vince, this movie is like shitting all over you. And then Vince changed his tune. And then on some DVD releases, they slapped the movie Vince doesn't want you to see on the cover. So I do remember. Yeah. It's super interesting. It definitely sets the precedent of like how we have Unreal and Dark Side and all these things now. But this is like a little bit of a love letter to wrestling. I'm not finding them knock it at all. If anything, this reminds me of there's people out there. I think to me, even as a kid, I grew up thinking WWE is the only thing what wrestling is, not knowing there's like a whole other like world of wrestling. And until finally you break that bubble as a fan and you realize there's all this other stuff. In this movie, they briefly explain like, hey, in Japan and other countries is treated way more respectful, whereas in America, because of WWF, it's become more of a soap opera. So I almost always wanted like a part 2 to this movie, like a modern version, but that's kind of what we have now. I know there's other like movies that have been made since this one, but this one still I think is just made the best, and you get a real like insight of it.
I don't think you're ever gonna get the unbiased look in WWE right now. I mean, I'd say the thing closer to this would be the wrestlers, you know, the OVW one.
True. Forgot about that. Yeah.
Whereas I think, you know, WWE just with all their production and stuff, everything's going to be in-house. Whereas 98, 99, they weren't what they are now. You know, they hadn't even gone public yet. They're in the wars with WCW. They might be thinking, oh, is this the mainstream attention that could help us beat WCW? And they're not thinking about that today.
Yeah. I almost wish there was more. Like, I know the Lash, I'm going to say Lash LaRue again because it's funny, but Louis Theroux, his had more of the WCW side, right? Like, so it was like you can see kind of both, but I imagine there is a lot of stuff on the cutting room floor or a lot of stuff that wasn't used for this movie, or people that did refuse to be interviewed and really tried to avoid. Again, a lot of interviews in the 2000s where wrestlers have been asked about it, they're still doing that quasi like, oh, kayfabe and shit. Whereas now I'm sure a wrestler would be like, oh, it was cool, I was featured in a movie and whatever. Like, it's totally out the bag now, where I think people might have a different opinion on it. I'm sure Jake still doesn't like what was shown in this movie, but that was you smoking crack. So I don't know. But I loved watching this. I love watching this today. It's been a long time, and I would definitely recommend to any like wrestling fan. Obviously, you should see this, but even non-wrestling fans, I do think it could, like, showing it to, like, I don't know, like your partner or your friends who, like, you know you like wrestling, but I think it could give them a little bit more of like, the movie starts with, hey, I don't know why I love it, but I do. And that's how we think most of the time. Why do we like this shit? This is the closest explanation of like, hey, here's a few reasons why you might like it. So as the thing on the tin says also, sometimes the stories outside of the ring are more real than what's in it. But
I think that's what so many wrestling fans are interested today. You know, it's not just the what we watch on TV, but it is the contract stuff, the backstage stuff, like who is going where. Apparently this person was legitimately pissed off with this person, and that is as fascinating, if not more, than the on-screen product a lot of the time to a lot of wrestling fans.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Appreciate Jake picking this again. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to join us there, but I know he wrote something in. Do you have that?
I do have it right here. Jake says, hey guys, sorry I couldn't join you guys today for personal reasons. I was looking back on the archives on Patreon and noticed that you guys haven't really delved much into wrestling documentaries yet. So I picked the one that really paved the way for this genre. It would be interesting to hear how you guys would compare it to WWE Unreal in today's day and age. Shout out to our mutual friend Jordan Goodman, who sold his copy of the DVD to me years ago as he was looking to sell stuff away. Obviously, Beyond the Mat was very genuine and transparent as far as exposing the dark side of the wrestling industry. It was marketed at the time as the documentary that Vince McMahon doesn't want you to see, meaning that Vince wanted a cut of the box office, but the director Barry Blaustein said, no way. I got to give credit to Mr. Blaustein for producing an authentic and objective point of view on how the behind-the-scenes work take place. The one story that obviously sticks out to everyone who has seen this movie is Jake the Snake Roberts and his battle with addiction. After watching Dark Side of the Ring episode of his father, the scene where Jake and Grizzly were doing yard work was very uncomfortable to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And man, seeing Mick Foley's family reacting to him getting those chair shots from The Rock was gut-wrenching. Looking back at it now, what did those achieve? But as a whole, Beyond the Mat gave you so much you can love as a fan of wrestling. And even if you're not a fan, you'll get a better understanding of why these people chose this line of work. This and Wrestling with Shadows are the gold standard of wrestling documentaries. Thanks and take care, lads. Well, thank you, Jake.
Thank you very much. Great pick, Jake. You know, I when you picked it, I didn't necessarily think of, hey, it is kind of good timing with this Unreal thing. Because throughout this review, you mentioned like, hey, there's bias in the WWE one, where this one is not so much. It's showing you a bit darker side. So I didn't even think of tying it into like, yeah, everyone's watching the documentary series now. It's this is the OG Unreal right here. So
Yeah.
really love the pick, Jake. I mean, yeah, we explained. We just never picked this ourselves. So you made it for a good reason to watch this. And hopefully it made for some good discussion on this show. But yeah.
Now, are you ready for some trivia? Because you have to step in.
What?
For Jake? Yeah.
Oh no, I was not prepared for this.
Them the rules.
Okay. All right. I'll attempt this.
Okay.
Jake, I'll do you proud with this
All
trivia.
right.
Do I get an ask a Bray?
You get an ask a Jake. No.
Ask a Davie.
You can ask me, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Question number 1. What does Vince offer Droz to help him puke?
The wastebasket? The garbage?
No, like something to consume to help him puke. And then he said, I don't even like that.
What, water? Coffee?
Coffee. It was
coffee.
How much is the deposit to train at the wrestling school?
Ooh, $1,500.
It was $500.
Oh fuck!
You can't pay, you can't play.
That's right.
I'm breaking tradition here, trivia tradition. Who was the referee for Mike Modest versus Tony Jones?
Oh,
I can certainly give a clue for this one.
Is it your favorite WWF ref of all time?
Oh, you know it is.
Is it Jimmy Corderas?
It is indeed, yes.
Can he fight though?
Where did Mick Foley grow up?
Long Island.
Long Island, yes.
Mrs. Foley's baby boy.
What's Noelle Foley's favorite word?
Nipples.
Nipples.
She's a freak.
Who is probably the only person to not hear about Jake the Snake Roberts?
Sorry, who was the only?
They go like, everyone knows Jake the Snake Roberts. Probably the only person to not hear about him would be...
Oh.
It's a weird one.
The only person who wouldn't know about Jake Snake Roberts is...
Who does Mick Foley like to impersonate?
Santa Claus?
Santa Claus, yes.
Even Santa Claus doesn't know what?
It was a weird line. What was Spike Dudley's favorite Shakespeare play?
Oh, fuck. You said it, and I don't even know. No idea. You said it. I can't think of it.
Henry IV, Part 2.
I'll have to read that.
What is Dennis Stamp's new job?
He's a roach guy, exterminator. Or referee for Red versus.
Okay, this is a visual one. What is the date of WrestleFest 50 Years of Funk?
September 11th, 1997.
It is. Wow, well done, yeah.
Oh.
And how much will it cost Dennis Stamp to change his airline ticket?
This is like 130 something bucks or something.
I'll give it to you, $134.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So that's good going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Very reasonable score. Well done, Jake.
As soon as you said you were gonna do trivia, I was like, all right, he's gonna ask me. All right, New Jack said he could be the next Denzel. Man, I want photoshops of every Denzel movie poster ever
Just
with
New
New
Jack.
Jack.
Yeah.
Remember the Titans?
I'm picturing him in flight, flying that airplane.
I don't even know other what Gladiator 2.
Yeah,
Just New Jack.
Equalizer.
He is the equalizer, so just with him with a fork, electrocuting people. Yeah. Well, I hope I did Jake justice with that.
You did very well. Yes.
Excellent. All right. Well, I tried and I watched this movie. I took notes. Appreciate Jake picking this. Our family member, world champ patrons. You too can pick stuff. Wrestling events, movies, TV shows. We go all over the place and then we review it and we usually have you join us and talk all about it. So if you're listening and you want to hear us review your favorite movie or documentary or whatever it is you want us to do, become a family member patron. You also get access to Behind the BDE once a month. If you sign up now, you can go back and listen to all the other stuff that could probably get us canceled on that show. But appreciate all the friends and family members out there. If you are a family member, please get your picks in. DMs are always open, whether it's here on the Patreon app or Insta, Facebook, whatever. DM us and make sure if you're in line for a pick. I know we have a few lined up, hopefully in the near future, but would love to get to your movies or TV shows or wrestling. And thank you to all the friends and family who made it this far, listening, supporting us talk about wrestling and weird movie book club type stuff. Appreciate. And we will talk soon. Very soon. We have Poisonrana live Sunday, up next every Tuesday. We will talk and we appreciate. That is it. That is all. Take care. Goodbye. Be safe. And he's gonna puke.
Ahoy!
Forever.